Hi everyone, my name is Abiodun. In this lesson titled Create a Git Repo, um, we want to look at how to create a new repository from scratch and also cloning an existing repository. The prerequisite for this course, for this lesson rather, is to have Git installed locally on your system. So previously, we discussed what version control is and the benefit of version control. We were able to install the version control tool called Git on our system. So uh, I wouldn't delve much into what version control is. So if you still don't get it, or you haven't watched, or you haven't watched the version control lesson or the video, you can quickly go back there and watch it. But I can still walk you through to check whether you have Git uh, installed on your local system. So if you want to do that, it's very simple. It's just for you to uh, type on your system type on your system and type git dash version. Check it whether you have git installed on your system. So if you are seeing what something related to what I'm seeing here, if you look at it, the GitHub version I'm having on my local system here is version 2.17.2. So and if you don't have it installed, you can easily do that by running uh, bro install git. So it will install it for you and you have everything working. So that is it. I'm not going to install it again because I have it installed. And if you haven't installed Git, you can easily go back to the previous lesson, watch it, and complete it. Then you can move on with this particular uh, lesson. So this lesson we are going to focus on majorly two things. How can you create a new repository from scratch, and how can you clone an existing repository? So without wasting much of our time, we can just get started now. If you want to create a new repository from scratch, you need an account on GitHub. I have to say this that Git and GitHub are two different things entirely. Git is a tool, a version control system tool, a tool that allow you to keep track of files, the changes in a file. And why GitHub is a hosting service for Git repository. If you want to keep your Git repository remotely, you want to be keeping it so that even if you are now on your system, you can actually go back to your account on GitHub and clone the the project and just start working from there. So Git version control is something really important in this modern day technology. So that's one of the reasons why you have it included in your course. So you have to make sure you do what you have to do. If you don't know version control system properly and you don't know how to use it, your tools as a technologist, a software engineer, as is incomplete. I have to be frank here. So to do that, you need an account on GitHub. To create a new repository from scratch, you need an account on GitHub. So I have the tab open here. So if you don't have an account, it's just very simple. You can go back to sign up page. That's it. So it will open it you register with them there. And if you look at it, I have an account created already for me, and I'm logged in. That's the reason why you can see all this here. You see my photo here, you see this icon here, this plus icon, you see this notification here. So if you want to create a new repository, all you just need to do is that to click this arrow pointing downward there. You have some menu down listed down there. The first one is new repository, which is the one we really want here. You have import repository, you have niches and what have you. So if you want to create a new repository, all you just need to do is click this arrow pointing downward and click this new repository. So you have some form to fill. The first data to supply is a repository name. What is the name of the repository you want to do? So I can just put git lesson here. So, and if you look at it, when I enter the git lesson here, it's telling me the repository. Look at this one here. The repository git lesson already exists on this account. It means that I have a repository name git lesson already. So I have to use another name. So let me just put an S to say git lesson here. And the next thing is description. If you look at it, it's optional. But I advise you, it is recommended to put description for your repository. Why? Because the repository you have online, you have remotely, a lot of people might have interest in it, a lot of people might want to look at it. So what the first thing you look at when you see a repository is the description of that file, or of that repository rather. So you have to make your description descriptive. Put something that we say we capture what and what the repository really contains. So for our own, I will say version control using git and github. Mr. T there. So the next thing is that you have to specify whether you want it to be public repository or private repository. When you make it to be public, that means you want anybody who comes to visit your account to see the repository. But when you make it to be private, you are saying that I don't want everybody to see this file. I only want some selected people to be able to see the content of this repository. So for this, for our purpose here, I have to make it public in case you guys might want to see what I have inside the repository. Then the next thing is that you can choose to add a README file there. What README file is just all about is that somebody who wants to view or who wants to see what you have inside the repository would like to read have a particular file, a document that documents what and what this your file really contains. This one is more than what description is saying. How can I make use of every little things we have inside the repository? So that is what README is. An MD file that you normally include to your project. So you can choose not to include it. You can include it. So for this lesson, let's just try to include it. Another thing is that you can choose to add gitignore file there. Gitignore file is just a file that allows you to ignore some files or some information or some data that you don't want people to see. So, and you can also add a license there. So that's the reason you can add a license. You might choose not to add any license there. So, but for this lesson, we're just going through. We're going to select. Enter the repository name, enter the description, choose public, and add a README file. So I'm going to create repository. That is it. If you want to create a new repository from scratch, that is all we need to do. You just need to click this arrow, okay, pointing downward, select new. From there, supply what you have to do, and that is it there. Then if you look at it, the repository has been created. We have the description here. This is the name of our repository, and this is the README file here, as you can see it here. That is just it here. So if you have any question, you can easily post your question on the Audacity forum there. Don't be there, a lot of people are there to answer your question there. I also it take some time to actually filter through the question that one or two people might have there. So